Hello, hello, hello! I am back once again! I am here, the Lap Cat! Today I will talk about two different ideas, I think. We'll see as I go along. First will be the concept of time, the all philosophical-like, and the second is my solution to ghetto-type poverty. Just to clarify, by ghetto I mean I am explicitly referring to high urban areas with a lot of poverty. As for last week, how I split up the video, until further notice, I think I'm going to keep doing the same thing, where I basically go, when I cut from one topic into another one, I'll cut the video there, split it into two, and so that way I can have a scheduled release on 2 different days. If you don't like that, and you prefer the long videos, please leave a comment about it and I'll see it, and I will change right back. Also, today I have the AC on because I'm incredibly tired and being cold keeps me awake. So it's like low-key freezing in my car, even though it's like 45 degrees outside. I'm low-key freezing, but it's okay. I have warm tea. So, time. A lot of people believe that the concept of time is made up, and I disagree. It's made up, I'll admit, on the same level that language is. It's kind of like just a name for something we naturally do, and it's more of a distinction, a label that we place onto nature. I recognize time as the measurement for the duration of an action, or a duration of a vector. If you aren't aware, a vector, in scientific terms, mostly means a speed in accordance to a particular direction. If you are not aware, in math you may not and cannot have a negative length. And that's basically the principle that says that you can't have a length that is negative, since that doesn't exist in real life. And it's not something you can achieve. If you had a negative length, you'd basically be breaking the laws of physics. And the same thing applies to time. You can't have negative time, since you can't rewind time. Instead, we kind of look at it as X number time in the past. It's a positive number, just in a different respect to 0, of which 0 is the present. Basically, it's X amount of time before the initial action, or conversely, X amount of time after the initial action. To me, time I recognize as a length of movement, and because it's a length, it can't be negative. And since it's also a length, and time doesn't necessarily have an end, and there's no real stop to the action, that is constant movement, therefore time is theoretically infinite. Such that, so long as something is moving, there is time. The best way to kind of look at that is like with a microwave. You put in a time, and from that start, it counts down. True, it's counting down, but you aren't going negative time. Once it reaches 0, the movement within the microwave stops, and so therefore, time stops, at least in that respect. Time is as made up as the inch is, or any form of imperial or metric measurements, since it's a label that we place onto a natural function of the universe, and it in of itself doesn't exist, but the object of the measurement does. Such as a tree. You can measure a tree, but you can't take a negative length of a tree. Continuing, my whole point is, you can't go backwards in time. because of that. The same way you can't take a negative length. Because there is no such thing as a back in time, because that would be negative time. To go backwards in time, you'd more or less have to reverse movement, or move yourself in respect to the surrounding movement. To go backwards in time would basically have to, you don't have to find a way to change time, change your location, but more along the lines as find a way to make movement around you flow backwards. Excuse me. To flow backwards is complicated, since to our knowledge we can't do that. It's not something that's theoretically or even physically possible. If you kind of look at the save state of a game, that is, when you save a particular position in the game, that makes sense, because when you do that one instance, that one save, you're fundamentally stopping all of time within the game and archiving it. Whereas in our universe, in our reality, we don't have such a device. We don't have a way to freeze all of reality. If we did, it would be theoretically possible to go back in time, but we'd only be able to go back in time to that save state, to where all of movement was stopped. And I cannot see... Okay, there's a lot of cars, actually. Ultimately, to go backwards in time is, in my opinion, incredibly difficult. And as much as a dream as everyone would like it to be, it's not something I believe that should be done. We measure movement in time for a specific reason. To circumvent that, to allow for us to go backwards, to go to a point where the movement within the universe was not as it is in the present. It's kind of like changing perspectives.